fun new thing to do, like what our session is all about today, which is augmented reality, interacting with your environment. This was a really fun presentation to put together for many, many reasons. And we're going to share why there's recently, within the last month, an explosion of AR apps, and how what some of these are that we find very entertaining and interesting and have some educational uses, as well as where we've seen AR start and go. I'm Amber Bridge, and this is the lovely.
I'm Mindy Cairney. Hello. And Amber and I are both from the digital learning team at Brentwood ADI, which is in Cedar Rapids. And our contact information is up there if you'd like to get in touch with us after today or have questions, or feel free to stick around after and check some things out. But we kind of took on this AR thing knowing that it was going to get big, and we're like just barely keeping our heads above water with all the new stuff that's coming out. So bear with us a little bit today because it's all very, very new to us too, and we're going to pretend that we kind of know what we're talking about today. So
we've gone down a lot of rabbit holes.
We have.
Yes. We're like, did you see this? Oh my gosh, this was last night at 10 o'clock. Still finding and being completely amazed. How many of you guys are Snapchat users and have tried the Bitmoji? You're already doing part of the AR then, right? And interacting in different ways. Because augmented reality is really all about creating these layers that exist that we don't see. And we're not going to see them unless we have a device or a phone, and that allows us to start to see our world in a whole new way.
Right, which I think is really interesting because there are things actually going on in this room right now that we've created that you cannot see.
Right.
But it's kind of interesting to think about knowing that there's a whole nother layer on our reality right now that you can't see but will be able to see. And we think this is really interesting because I think this is the world our students are going to be living in and engaging in and creating in.
Yes.
And it's really exciting stuff. So we're excited to share it with you.
Yeah. Absolutely. So augmented reality is not new. It's definitely been around for a while, and there are a few tried and true augmented reality apps that we have been working in, living in, since I started at Grantwood, which was about 4 years ago. One of our team members' favorite apps of all time is Erasma. How many of you guys are Erasma users or know what that is? Fantastic. So I didn't see like every single hand shoot up, but like 90% of the hands. So we're gonna let Mindy do a quick demo here. With that, well, for those of you that have raised your hands, how have you used Erasma? Yeah.
I was at a school where the kids hand wrote, there's the first graders, hand wrote a story to Santa.
Yeah.
And then we used Erasma for them to read it, so we could hear them reading it while whenever we hovered over their picture that they drew.
Very cool. So students' handwriting pops up an image or a video of them actually reading, which I think is the coolest thing to be able to use in a school. Are we ready for?
I am. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So the example that we have to share too is from one of our local high schools. They have created for all of their student newspapers, and it makes the front page full of lots of really awesome and amazing things. Erasma is really tried and true. Erasma is free, and Erasma has been around for a long time, which is why it's one of those kind of blasts from the past. When we think about some of those other blasts from the past too, we also have one.
Should I do this one?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So one that I really like is Libraries of Life. So if you go to the Libraries of Life website, you have these cards and triggers. So it works a lot like Erasma, and that's kind of what we're noticing too about the old AR is that you have to have these like tangible in your hand kind of triggers. And so you can print out all of these different cards. And And the lighting is not very good in here, so you do have to have good lighting.
Which is a really big key
It
for
really
any of the AR programs, is to be able to have, oh, my computer getting in there.
Oh, sorry. Jeez.
Like you just had it. Oh. Let's see if it'll go.
It worked when you got it close.
Yeah. There we go. Now we can see the praying mantis popping up off of the page and giving more information.
And narration too, but as you can see, my hands are all busy. And that's all free too. That's what's neat about it, is a lot of those, I don't know if there are some paid cards in there. I actually don't know, but there are a lot of free cards that you can check out and interact with as well.
Is the app called Library of Life?
It is called Libraries of Life, yep. But I often find that the App Store is not always real reliable when you are searching, so I would go to the Libraries of Life website and click from there if you're not finding it. It's always my tried and true. Which one do you want to spin this on?
I think those are the
Okay,
main,
okay.
main ones that are going to be right. So along with some of these blasts from the past, we also have up there Google Translate, which has made a huge update of being free within the last couple of years and really changing the way that you can interact and see languages all around the world without having to have a translator anymore. Again, those triggers, though, are a big part of those AR, as well as having in the Elements 4D, you have these either paper or concrete blocks that allow you to see elements in a whole new way. Quiver Vision, you want to talk to real quickly before we leave the past?
Yeah, so Quiver Vision as well gives you, this one is, I like this one the best because it gives kind of an open creativity, but it's actually coloring pages, and I believe Crayola has something that's kind of like this too. And students then would take the coloring page and color it, and then with using Quiver Vision, you hover over top of it, and it pops their picture right up out of the page in the colors that they have colored it, and they move just a smidge, so don't get overly excited. However, what I like about this one is that students can draw their own picture inside here, and this pops up as a sphere that rotates around so students can see their own artwork. And so what I liked about this one is that I think it really opened up the creativity for students, so not just coloring some, pre-created coloring sheet. Sometimes the educational value for that is a little bit gray, I think, but this really allows students to kind of make their own 3D art of sorts. So this, and if you want to try this before you go, I have some extra copies. You can definitely try it out. So
I would say that these we're like, hey, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. But we started to see an app come out at the end of summer that started to pique our interest a little bit more, and that would be Metaverse. So we have a very special guest star for this session today. We have one of our rock star librarians from the Cedar Rapids area with us, who has used this app with students in her library. And so we're going to kind of turn it over to her and let her share a little bit of her story. But I will say that this is an easy app to work with to go about creating your own augmented reality adventures.
Yeah, so I guess kind of what happened is I was at Grant Wood for Google Expeditions training, and if you live anywhere near Cedar Rapids and you can stop into them, just go there because you just learn something. And so they showed me this. I was like, oh, I can use that for tomorrow. So I put together, right? That's why I love you, because I go there and just learn things. And so I put together have you ever seen Pokemon Go? You get how this works, right? It's linked to a geolocation. So Metaverse kind of works like that. So I created a scavenger hunt in AR for my kids as our library orientation for this year for 3rd and 4th grade. So if you want to exit out of this, actually. So that slide there shows kind of the coding that I did.
Oh, do you want
to pull up my account? Yeah, this. Oh, yeah. Oh, go to the experiences list, the next one over. Time. Yeah. Okay, so these are kind of the experiences I made. A lot of them you see, they're untitled because I was messing around and didn't know what I was doing. But then I had kids, so if you want to click on the Titanic one. I'm obsessed with Titanic and my kids all know that. So one of the things that I had them do, so when they are scanning around the library, my little Bitmoji, I'm also obsessed with Bitmoji. Then Bitmoji pops up, and it's saying please, and so then on their screen they see it says it's kind of books about Titanic, can you find one? So then they had to use the online library search catalog to find a book about Titanic, go to the shelf, and then see the next scene. So scene 2 is the camera, a nice little pose there. So when they take a picture of the Titanic book, the next block, it says is text. So that block, if you want to click on that block,
Click on this one.
on the is text. Yeah. So over there on the right, it shows how it's coded. So if the text is found, so it says it's looking for the word Titanic. So they had to find a book that Titanic was actually in the title. And if the text is found, it transitions to the next scene, which says, you're amazing, put it carefully back on the shelf where you found it. And then that transitions to the end. If it doesn't say Titanic, then it's my little Bitmoji that says, no, try again, and it redirects them back to the beginning. So it's just a few basic codes.
And Metaverse has all these blocks already populated, so you just have to figure out how you want to put your story together, and you pull it through. And I would say the power of it is it taps into Google, right?
Yeah, it's called Google Vision. That little is text block is called Google Vision, and so Google just takes the picture and is looking for that word. There were a couple of times where a kid found a book that said Titanic on the cover, but it was written in cursive or kind of some different fonts, and it didn't find that, but then we just kind of turned it and took the picture of the spine because it had it in more of a block letter. Does that part kind of make sense? There's tons of blocks in there. I just happened to use the camera one because it felt more elementary friendly. There's also some where they can do a type response where they can actually type in like an answer for them to do that. So I'll show you what one of these kind of looks like. I tried to put one here.
Because she's amazing, she just made one up on the fly here before I check.
We'll see if it works. That'll be the trick. So you can make them so that they're tagged by location. So I tried to move the Titanic one to here so that you could see how it worked, but I also made one.
Mine's doing the same thing. Maybe GPS is blocked because we're in
If you use your data, not use your GPS for your data, not
I don't know.
And right where we were, right before you all
just
came
for a second ago.
in, it worked perfectly. Let's transfer this over and turn Wi-Fi off, and we'll see if we can get it to go. Yes, I'm aware. I don't need to turn Wi-Fi on.
There, it popped up. I see it.
You got it?
See how there's the number 2 that I hit try.
Oh, yeah, I see it in the background.
So it does exist. Did anybody get connected?
go back and turn your Wi-Fi off.
She did.
I did. Oh, sure. How is it still on? Oh, is it because I'm connected to my computer, maybe? It works a lot better, would you say, Alyssa, in an environment where there's not a lot of devices connected?
Yeah, we
Like
had
100 or so that might be around?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons here. I had maybe like 10 devices going at a time, and it worked pretty much every time.
Does anybody have any questions about Metaverse?
Does Metaverse let you use like a digital screenshot in text, or does it require the camera?
I don't know. I have only seen the camera one.
Okay.
So here's like the scene buttons. So there's character, which is just that person that you can type text on top of. The text input. I don't know, what's the web, that one, the web view. I'm not quite sure what that one does. Takes them to a website maybe?
Yeah, so that one is looking for the website URL, and then you can decide, if you want to transition from there.
And go back to add new, because those are the scenes, and then down below is where the blocks are. So I've only used that Google Vision block. So if you go down on the left, Amber, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is what I've used, and the one that I put here for iTech is the is Happy Go. There's one that's called is happy right
Right
there. So I put it on there, so if you try this later in this building, it should pop up. And it'll ask you to take a picture, and if you're frowning, what was my Bitmoji was like?
It's like, cheer up.
Cheer up, and then you have to try again, and then if you were smiling, so it recognizes if you're smiling or frowning, theoretically. And Amber got it to work, like she said, like 2 minutes before everybody.
We should have took a video of it.
You might also look, Metaverse has got a Facebook
Yes.
Yes, they have a group.
where there are all kinds of ideas circulating there, you might check there.
Yeah,
And
and they
they-
also have a new thing where you can get certified to be like a metaverse educator, pioneer, whatever they call it.
Part of their program.
And there's like a Google Doc, and I think you have to make like 2 or 3 of them
And tutorial videos.
in a tutorial
Yep.
video that you have to post to YouTube, and then they'll like make you a metaverse certified person. So there's like, they have a Google Doc. If you follow them like on Twitter or stuff too, they've got that there. So,
Thank you, Alyssa.
yeah, you're welcome. Sorry it didn't work.
That's okay. No, you're amazing for it was on the.
How many windows do you have?
I know it's the rabbit hole. So Metaverse, like we said, came out kind of end of summer. We were aware of its existence and kind of the potential of being able to create these customized scavenger hunts for your students. Alyssa is amazing. You should definitely follow her on Twitter or the Instagram. She's on both to learn more about what she's doing in her library as well. But once this happened, then our AR kit was released like a month ago.
Right.
And it has changed everything. The AR kit was released by Apple, and so this is an Apple product only platform that changes the way that developers can create augmented reality. And it has made it easier to make apps, and the app market for AR has just been exploding.
Right, so what we've been trying to do, I should talk a little bit too. We can kind of see on our timeline there, we picked some, there are a ton of AR apps out there, and when Amber and I were kind of looking through them, like we said, total rabbit hole, we did spend much more time than we probably should have, don't tell our boss. But spending a lot of time looking at them, and so to share with you today, we came up with 3 pretty simple qualifications. One of them is that it had to be free or extremely cheap. It had to have some sort of educational value, of course, that we could see being used in a classroom, but it also had to have a wow factor because, you know, we wanted you to be like, well, wow. And so the ones that we're going to share with you today, hopefully we're going to talk a little bit, hopefully after each app, just, you know, where do you think you can see this fitting in, and is it something that would be useful? We don't want it to just be a toy because we really think with this AR kit, it's really made it very accessible to our students. And although I don't understand the AR kit, and I probably never will, and quite frankly, I'm probably never going to bother, but our students, those kids that are really starting to do some coding and things like that, this is making it much more accessible to them. And Amber's going to talk about one of her students later that is kind of involved in this work. So, yeah.
So the first one that we're going to share, I also do want to say that all of these apps came when the AR kit was released with the release of iOS 11. And our understanding at first was that they were all going to work on every iPad that could update to iOS 11. And we have found that that is not the case. And so you'll notice on our slides that there are some that require iOS 11 and may need to be either iPad Pro or 5th generation, which are those cheaper iPads that have just come out, like at that $300 price point, or they could work on iPhone 6s and up. Okay. There are a few that we have found that are
right, and all of the blast from the past ones are able to be used on older devices, and then I think there's a couple more. And although it's kind of disappointing to know, like, well, our student devices might not work, anything you replace from here on out will. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. Yep. Disappointing, but it's the future, and you know, they're just dreaming up the things that are coming, I'm sure.
So Magic Plane is the first app, and we're going to go ahead and switch over to the iPad, I believe. What's really interesting about this is it can teach area in a whole new way, really making it come to life for your students. And so the Magic Plan app, what it does is it allows you to do a couple of different things. You can see there from the sample plan that's already up there that you're looking at very detailed floor plans for a house or apartment. But if you click on the new room option, or let's go back one more. Let's start from the beginning. New plan. It'll allow you to choose what type of creation you want to do, either residential or commercial. And when you click on there, you can capture a room using a camera, so physical space that you're actually in, or you can draw a room by modifying it, or importing one from a drawing as well. So I believe if you tap on the camera,
Which we know what you captured?
yeah, you choose what level you're going to work on. So you could also have your students designing, 9-floor buildings, which could be a really interesting experience as well. And it's going to ask you to aim it at your feet.
I'm gonna let you take it from me.
Okay.
Okay.
Super glad this is very tall.
Yeah, right.
So you aim it at your feet, and you can see here that it's going to ask for a corner. So I'm actually just going to go here towards the end of the chair, and if you tap on the corner, now I'm starting to see some crosshairs come up. Tap again. Oh, I'm to the wall, I'm out of space. Okay, we'll go this way. And so I can see the area that I had just scanned. It's a very interesting shape. But I can see the dimensions measured out there that I think could have a lot of really good applications back to the way that we teach area for students to really make that come alive. So real quick, we're going to have you guys turn to the person that's sitting near you. And is there a way that you could see this working in your school, in your life? Talk for just 30 seconds. Okay, what kind of conversations did you have? Is anybody willing to share quickly? Heard lots of conversations. That was great. There we go. Yeah, awesome.
Does this just release like you can do a?
There's another one that will allow you to do that. Anything else?
These guys talked about like you use geography to talk about distance, measure distance, scale.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huge.
Actually, it's good.
Yeah.
As an elementary teacher, I look at it and I think, oh, I would have Goldilocks build her perfect home. What things would I have Goldilocks put in there, and then talk about different, I always try and bring it back to the little kids, because a lot of times I think they don't get to use this stuff because they're little. But I thought, oh, I designed a house for one of the characters in a book or something. And I don't know if you saw while you were chatting, you probably didn't. You can also add objects. So this is a hinged door. So if I tap a wall here, I can insert objects and then choose which things I'd like to put in there too. So it's not just about the outer walls, but also adding things inside that room as well.
And I think there's some other interesting conversations that can have too when you add those things like fire and safety,
Yeah.
right? HVAC, I mean, that's some real world application conversations that you can have with designing your own place, which I think is really cool.
Can you bring in city assessor plans or SketchUp or?
It said that you could import them. That I
We have not
answer.
played with that, but it does have the opportunity to
import
import
option.
drawings and things, so
So I'm not sure what that would look like, but
I think that'd be
worth
really
a
cool.
try. Yeah.
And can you export those out into a CAD program or something like that?
So if we go
Let's, I
back
want
to,
to get out of
yeah, I believe,
Done.
done, yep. And then when we have those choices at the bottom,
Edit merge rooms, add room.
I believe you can keep building here, all of those different
Yeah.
layers on
So
top of there as well.
Tap export first, it looks like. Yeah.
And then you sign in. So you do need to make an account to be able to export, it looks like, so. Okay.
If that's something you showed us, does that meet the 3 criteria of your kind of magic 3?
There's
Yep.
there's only one that we have that's actually paid for, right?
Right. So everything we just shared,
Okay,
we've
good.
not paid anything, we have not signed in for anything.
And
I just
all like
use it.
object ads and stuff, right? Or do
All of the stuff that you saw in there is free. Yep.
For real, I know.
you- Is there a computer version of that or only the app?
We've only seen the app.
Yep.
There could be a computer version that I've not seen.
We were merely
We're mainly
blinders on when
yep,
it came to this.
looking
so,
at AR
yeah.
apps, so. All right, the next place that we're gonna go is
Is where?
Membit.
Oh, we are.
We
Hey.
are, yes.
Let's try out Membit here.
So Membit is really interesting, and I love the way that Mindy explains it, so.
You do, huh?
I do.
Okay, so this one is going to be kind of I might actually show the video. My geolocation isn't going to work real great on this either.
Same idea though that Metaverse
Right.
had with using the geolocation.
Right, so Amber, actually we hit the video on there while I play with this. I'll move myself off. So the issue with the geolocation, obviously, is that if I don't have great Wi-Fi, but it doesn't have to have that tangible, in your hand paper trigger. It's more about I'm in this space.
Do you want this out here?
Yeah, sure. So the idea about Membit is kind of adding who you are to the places that you've been and adding photos, and once they're there, they get to be there forever. So when you're using Membit, you can just kind of look around and see fingerprints that people have left on their place in space that they've been, adding memories. So you take a picture in time, add it to your location, and there it is.
Does it export as a movie then?
No, it's all saved. It's all saved within Membit. So I didn't see. You can share it out like on social media and stuff like that, but I don't think you can download like someone else's videos. Is that what you're?
Well, it's like, could you put that together as a video for yourself? Like, you went on your 2020 anniversary and you saw the same pictures from whatever you saw the same locations, and then
That'd be cool.
export it as an MP4.
Yeah, not right now. I don't think. I don't think so. Yeah, and I don't know at the end there. The guy with the longer hair is actually the creator of Membit, and he had a video of his son walking in the living room, and it like gave me chills. I thought, oh my gosh, we could be adding memories to our home that when, you know, someday when my husband and I are gone, our kids could come back to this house and still see themselves here in this living room when they might not remember that, or see us in our much younger, thinner, younger years, you know, and see us as a family at Christmas or something like that. And I really think that that's what's interesting about it, because with the paper trigger, that gets lost or forgotten, but this being saved to a geolocation, it's there forever, or as long as Membit exists, which is always, you know, that's also the thing with technology, so, yeah.
Can you access those pictures without the geolocation?
You can, so,
They can't go back there? and do all
right,
that
yep.
kind of thing?
Yeah, so you probably saw on my mirror, or on that map there, I can find a spot on a map and go to places that I haven't been before and access those photos too. And that's what's great about it. This is an iOS 10 or later, so this one might be something that your older devices can do. But this one is kind of neat. A little bit like Erasmus, but without the tangible trigger. Okay?
Okay,
All right.
cool. Do you guys want to take a quick second and talk about that?
Yeah, how about you use it, or you're, well, I won't give me hints about
Oh, you already got one.
Oh, you got
I
one?
have a question.
Yeah.
Can you like take them down, or like I know the whole digital citizenship, like show students this, all of a sudden we have in our school something very bad.
Sure.
Like, how?
I'm gonna say this, I think, is that I can report one that I think
Okay.
is inappropriate.
Okay.
But you wouldn't be able to have, like, you don't get to own your geolocation and
Right.
what happens in there. So you're absolutely right,
Okay.
something to think about. Yes.
Are there any like privacy settings where I can set it
Yes.
so that only like users see it?
Yep, so you can keep it private. I believe you can keep it private only to you, and then there's a friend setting, so anyone that you're friends with on Membit, and it will ask to access your contacts and stuff like that. And then you can save it public so anyone can see it. So any ideas for your school, classroom?
I was trying to find one where you could upload your own photos instead of from your taking it. So we could, like, how did they do that? That's what I want to do in my school. I want the old pictures.
Yeah, so you can, when you create a Membit, can use pictures from your photo library. So I'm gonna guess that obviously wasn't their picture that they added there, so it was probably just on their camera roll. There's probably some copyright issues with that, I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, so you should be able to either take a picture in the moment or save something from your camera roll and put it in.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So as long as you move it into your own photo library first,
Yes. You should be able to pull from your camera roll though.
or your camera. roll.
Yeah, yep.
So I was thinking about like Iowa history, you know, local history.
Yeah.
If your town had a bunch of like old photographs of what Main Street looked like in like 1910, and we went around and did that, then you could take a little field trip, like, hey, here's what our town looked like.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Or have your
The
students
historical
do it.
building is getting torn down, take a bunch of pictures
Right.
of it, and then, well, here's what it looked like.
It's like a New Age time capsule, kind of. Yeah.
What about scavenger hunt? If they go, I don't know, they tell them where the first place is, they look at the picture that's there
Mm-hmm.
at that geolocation, it'll give them the clue for the next place.
Yeah, because you can add a caption to your picture. Yep. Yeah, and what's neat too is that you can find your Membits that are just here in your area. They kind of show up as little, not pegmen, but that's kind of what it looks like. Or you can find the exact trigger, the background trigger. So if I were to take a picture of this stand right here and then put a picture over top of it, it'll very faintly give me exactly what I'm looking for. But if I can't find exactly what I'm looking for and I'm just looking for something here in this room, I can say just show and it'll show me everything that's in here, or it'll show me if I find that exact background trigger. So that's kind of a neat, it's kind of neat. Yeah.
Have you found very many people using it in and around Cedar Rapids?
I have been using it for about a week and a half, so no.
I just walked around downtown with
Yeah.
it, and there are no Membits.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing down there yet.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if I was.
You'll have to start.
Yeah.
Huge opportunity to
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if I was.
Here.
If I did. Maybe I had a setting off.
No, I don't think so. Until we started doing this research, I didn't even, to be honest, didn't even know it existed. So,
I just found it myself.
yeah. Cool. Okay.
Okay, our next app, I will say this one specifically had me very interested in that I wanted this app because my husband makes me spend a large amount of time in home improvement stores, and I really don't always think that he looks the coolest when he's got his, measuring tape on his hip. So I wanted this app to be amazing, and you can see I've actually downloaded a couple different ones. And there's certain things that certain ones would do. There was other ones that were kind of inaccurate. This one I think is the most interesting because of the variety of different things that it does. It's called Measure Kit. I will tell you, it will measure things for free. However, it does all of these different types of measuring. So I can measure things on a straight line surface for free. That's the free app. But all of the other things underneath there are paid. It's $3. Okay, so it's not a hefty price tag, it's pretty minimal. And you can measure trajectory, you can measure marker pens from distances from fixed points, angles, person's height, cube to be able to visualize how big something is compared to something else, and also a level as well. Real quickly, I'll just kind of show how this works. So you get this circle, and I'm going to use the chair right here as an example. We've got a kind of a nice little angle going on here. Hopefully I'm not making you too sick. This is why we were using an iPad stand earlier. So you just kind of touch your circle, and then you decide where you want it to go. And now it's going to tell me that angle of our chair here. And I can see that that is 103, and if I move this around, it's going to give me another one. But those stay there, okay? So if I go back and I want to measure, all right, this angle of this chair is 106 degrees. If I want to measure the base of it, I just tap and go, and it's going to tell me the distance, and then that angle will stay there as well. I could go off, I can look over here, there's nothing I measured, but if I come back, those measurements stay in place. Okay?
For you or for everyone? Like, are they
For
you?
me.
Okay.
For me. This is, if I were to hit, there's a little refresh in the corner. If I hit that, it goes away. If I were to tap on my measurement on the bottom, I can see that I can decide how I want it to be. So I could do place a ruler to detect planes. I can take a snapshot of it using that circle in the bottom left-hand corner to grab those measurements, be able to have them written down for me, to be able to go further.
Could you have gone to the other side of the chair? So can you like measure the distance around something?
Let's try it. So you're saying like, so could I go here, and I had my chair length there, right? And then if I were to go over here, my chair is still there on that side. It looks a little wonky, but it is still there. I could have also done a connected chaining mode to be able to draw completely around it as well.
Perimeter.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Well, I think it's neat, just like when I did geometry, I still don't, the angles thing still doesn't seem relevant to me, but when you ever show this, I'm like, oh, this would have been really good for me, like to see all of the angles in the world, like this is why you learn geometry, you know?
So I can, place an object here and put it next to other things too, and it will tell me the sizes of that, and I can play around with the width, the height, and I can try to, again, start to visualize these measurements compared to other things. Any questions? And those ones, again, still kind of live there until you hit refresh. This one is the new version.
Yeah, iOS 11.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, and then take it off here, ain't on mine. Nope. Try just going up.
Oh, nice. All right, Math Ninja. This one is iOS 11. And I'm not, step on my soapbox just for a second, I'm not a huge fan of math facts and like games that practice math facts. However, when I saw this, I was like, now this is something, I can get on board with this. So, Math Ninja. Sound's gonna happen here since we're airplaying. Maybe there won't be any sound. There is some jazzy music. I'm just gonna do easy here. Come over here to the floor. Okay. There we go. Usually you're holding this, so I'm gonna relocate maybe just a little bit. Okay, there we go. Jazzy music. You can see my little addition facts here. Now, my little guys that are running around on my game board, somebody has an answer. And I have to look around and see what that answer is. 8 plus 4 is, zoom in, where'd you go, buddy?
Oh, there he is.
There he
He's
is.
red. He's
Okay.
fluffy.
Oh, I missed him. Next question. All right, 3 plus 6 is 9. Oh, something we gotta walk around. Oh, there he is. Yeah, good. Next question. 8 plus 2. 10.
How are you choosing? Just tapping?
I'm just tapping on it, right? So it's a little bit of an interactive. Whoa, what's happening? Yeah, it's a little glitchy. It might be a little bit to do with my AirPlay too. 4 plus 7 is 11.
So it allows you
I
to
see
kind
him.
of like jump into a
Yeah, you
whole
kind of get to
world.
play, but yeah, with AirPlay, it's not awesome. That's kind of a fun one maybe to try, and I have this on my iPad, so if you want to come up later and give it a shot. Even my husband's like, oh my gosh, is that for real? I'm like, yeah, it really is. It really is. This is what's happening in education these days. So that one is AR Ninja. That one's completely free too, but once again with the iOS 11. Kind of a fun one.
The next one I think we're also going to demo here is a cross between the book How Stuff Works and our augmented reality is called Jig Space. We'll see if it'll AirPlay here. What it says is that these are jigs, and it will walk you through tutorially how something is put together. They have things in different categories like history, science, machines, space, and they're saying they're going to add a lot more as they go. So it's going to look for a flat surface that you can plop it down in. And now I have a lock in the middle of the room, and you can also see here on the bottom of the screen, it gives me some directions that I can move around, and as I tap on this lock, it's going to tell me vocabulary for the different parts of the lock. If I go to the next step, it's going to open that lock up and allow me to see inside it, and allow me to move it as well.
Do you tap on the screen to look at the individual objects then? Is that what you're
Yep, so do you see there's the arrow in the right-hand corner, or right side?
Yep.
3 of 6. So, and I can also just tap on there to get the vocabulary to come up as well. You can see then the different pieces of the lock as well.
And like Amber said, this one's going to be adding stuff, so this is definitely one I think to keep an eye on as it continues to evolve into more and more things.
So that, in history, they have a variety of different things like Da Vinci machines, trebuchets. In science, inside the planet Earth, inside a battery, your ear, the eye, there's lots of really cool applications there to have those things really come alive for your students. And your machines, there's all sorts of different kinds of machines in here, as well as space. We've got some different things, as well as, of course, everyone needs to know the anatomy of a lightsaber as well.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
Okay.
Was that one an iOS?
This is a newer
That's
one,
iOS
yes.
11.
So this one kind of fooled me because I was able to download it on my iPad Air, and when you open it up, it just spins. So this is a newer one only.
Should you do that when you pull down here? We'll pop it.
It's a mystery. I can't
just
share
like
everything. Well, the next one is going to be demoed too as well, and then we'll probably jump into our end part and maybe allow you guys to explore the last few minutes. Which I don't actually see on yours.
It is. Go to the, yeah.
So the last one we're going to kind of demo here before we kind of wrap this up and allow you the opportunity to explore some of these. Oh, I lost our screener.
There you are.
It's called World Brush, and this one was pretty, I was impressed, to be very honest with you, because what this allows you to do is in your space that you're working in.
Right, so this is also geolocation.
Yeah, so do you see how like I got this little thing in my upper right-hand corner that's a circle? And it's pointed right now at the back of the room. And if I scroll around this room, there was some things that popped up there. Oh,
yeah, put some over here.
hey, look at that. There's some things that are starting to exist over here in this area because this is an art app, okay? So you can choose different types of brushes and I can create 3D art that can be saved and you can actually view it from all different angles in the room. That is there. When you hit the check mark, it is saved. It saves everything based, again, on geolocation. And if you find things that are inappropriate, you can give it a thumbs down. Okay? That will kind of tap into some of that digital citizenship part there, but people can add to each other's art. And
there was actually things in here
yes.
when we came in. We were surprised.
Right.
We had found some people had been using it already in this room. So
yeah. And thankfully, it was positive things. I love you, not something else.
You.
Yes, you.
I think you're great.
You didn't even know that you were in the special seat today. So that's World Brush, and I think it's a really cool, collaborative way to make art in a whole new and fun way.
Okay,
so we're going to try to wrap this up here because we're out of time. I guess. Geez, we could just stay here all day and share stuff. And there's more in here. AR Runner, I would highly recommend checking out. We had one of our PE teachers try it out and they said it was amazing because you're actually racing imaginary points.
That one's super fun.
Yeah.
But you should do it in an open area.
Yeah, open area for sure. There's lots of other things on here. We have included videos with them as well, so feel free to explore those a little bit more. But as Mindy said at the very kind of beginning, this is going to become more than just what we've shared here in the first month or so of the AR kit being released. A former student of mine who I can take no credit for other than the fact I had him for 1 year in 8th grade science, super into technology, and he actually is working for Microsoft right now, but him and his buddy, the 3 buddies, they went to a hackathon and they used an early release of the AR kit and they wrote an app in 18 hours and it won the hackathon. And it's going, like, when this app gets released for people that live in cities, it's going to change some things because it's going to help you to figure out where your car is parked in the city. And when you are walking back closer to it, it's going to throw a huge flag up in the air so that you can see if you're walking closer to your car or not. It's also going to tell you if you parked in an area that requires you to feed the meter more to help you avoid parking tickets as well. And I was talking to him about this. He's like, please, we wrote this in 18 hours. Like, we wrote this in 18 hours? Come on. Like, this is really unbelievable. And so this is going to go further. And it's not just with the AR kit, but in the Shanghai airport, they're actually creating AR glasses that are allowing people to do their job differently. So the people that are working on the ground floor of this airport here can see the different weights of the materials that are about to go onto planes and which planes they're supposed to do to decrease airline wait times by about 15 minutes. Okay? So it's going to start to change things in many different ways. And I just actually got an email the other day from one of the first AR, when we go back to those early people, 4D, Elements 4D. It was created by a company called Daiquiri. They are releasing AR glasses next month. So this is going to become more of a story as it continues on and expanding in different ways. So we're really excited about where it's going to go, and we would love to hear from you guys too. If you guys find a cool AR app, share it back with us. Our contact information is up here. We're part of the digital learning team, and we would love to connect with you more. We have other apps too. I think there's like a little down period after this session. So if you want to come up, we have some of the newer iPads. If you want to explore some of these apps hands-on, feel free to do that. Okay? Thank you.